We live in a world that believes change starts in the mind. If you can think differently, they say, you can live differently. If you can learn enough, reason enough, convince yourself enough, you will finally become the person you long to be. But what if real change doesn't start in the mind at all? What if true transformation begins somewhere deeper, somewhere no human wisdom can reach? When God steps into a life, He doesn't simply offer new information. He doesn't just present a better argument or a more convincing philosophy. He reaches into the very heart, the place where your deepest desires, your hidden fears, your true self reside, and He changes what you love. You see, the greatest battle for your soul is not fought over what you think. It's fought over what you want, what you treasure, what you trust. And no amount of intellectual effort can transform a heart of stone into a heart of flesh. Only the Spirit of God can do that. You may have tried to change yourself. You may have read every book, attended every seminar, followed every step-by-step plan. You may have filled your mind with truths you agreed with, but found yourself powerless to live them out. Because without a new heart, even the best ideas stay locked in the prison of an unchanged soul. When God moves, He does not merely inform. He regenerates. He breathes life into places that were dead. He replaces cold indifference with burning love. He turns rebellion into joyful surrender. And He does it in a way that leaves no room for boasting. When you see someone truly changed, radically, deeply, permanently, it is not because they finally figured it out. It is because God's power touched their heart and made them willing. Today, if you feel tired of trying harder, if you feel exhausted from knowing what is right but struggling to do it, there is hope for you. Not in another strategy, not in stronger willpower, but in the living God who still changes hearts, not just minds. Stay with me, because in the next moments, we will uncover how God's power moves past information, past behavior, and reaches into the deepest places, and how that can change everything for you. The mind can be persuaded. The emotions can be stirred. The habits can be modified. But unless the heart is changed, nothing truly lasts. You might agree with the truth intellectually. You might feel moved by it emotionally. But without a new heart, your old desires will eventually pull you back into the same patterns, the same struggles, the same empty promises you swore you would never return to. That is why God does not settle for superficial change. He aims straight for the center of who you are. When Scripture says, "I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you," it is not speaking about moral improvement. It is speaking about resurrection. A dead heart cannot resuscitate itself. It must be replaced. God knows that if He simply convinces your mind but leaves your heart untouched, you will always drift back to what you truly love. And if your love is still centered on yourself, on your comfort, on your pride, no amount of good intentions will hold you when the storms come. Real salvation is not just a change of opinion. It is the miracle of a new affection. It is the work of God writing His law, not on stone tablets, but on the living flesh of your heart. When He calls you, He does not call you merely to understand Him better. He calls you to love Him supremely. He does not demand robotic obedience. He invites passionate devotion. The Christian life is not sustained by sheer willpower. It is sustained by love, a love that He Himself places within you. That is why the day of God's power is so critical. It is the day when His Spirit awakens what you could never awaken on your own. It is the day when the chains you didn't even know you were wearing fall from your heart. It is the day when surrender stops feeling like loss and starts feeling like life. And once your heart has been touched, you cannot remain the same. You no longer obey out of fear or obligation. You obey because your heart is finally free to do what it was created to do, love and follow Him. Stay close, because in the next part we will explore what this heart change looks like in real life, and why it is the only hope for lasting, joyful transformation. When God changes a heart, it is not a simple adjustment. It is a complete reorientation of the soul itself. The desires you once cherished start to lose their hold. The sins that once seemed harmless begin to reveal their emptiness. The ambitions that once drove you no longer satisfy. Without anyone forcing you, without a checklist or external pressure, something within you shifts. You begin to crave different things. You hunger for righteousness. You long for purity. You thirst for God. This is not behavior modification. This is resurrection. God does not call you merely to improve. He calls you to die to the old self and to rise with a new heart that beats in rhythm with His will. This change is not the result of clever arguments or emotional manipulation. It is the work of the Spirit moving deep beneath the surface, awakening dead places and breathing life into cold hearts. The heart that once resisted Him now seeks Him. The mind that once doubted His goodness now meditates on His promises with delight. The will that once rebelled now bends joyfully to His authority. And you realize, often with awe, that this is not something you achieved. It is something you received. A miracle written not in the heavens but inside your very being. When God moves in power, He does not ask for negotiation. He claims you fully. Your time, your dreams, your relationships, your identity, they all begin to revolve around Him. He becomes not just an addition to your life, but the center of it. What once seemed important fades into the background, and Christ becomes your first love. And though the transformation may start quietly, it does not stay hidden. It produces fruit that the world cannot explain. Love that persists when hatred would be easier. Hope that shines when despair seems reasonable. Joy that sings even in suffering. This is the evidence of a heart that has been changed, not merely informed. If today you feel a stirring in your soul, a pull you cannot explain, do not dismiss it. That small, persistent whisper could be the voice of the God who still speaks life into dead places. Stay with me, because in the next part, we will see how real heart change reshapes not only who you are but the entire course of your life. The change that God brings is not cosmetic. It is not a matter of painting over cracks or polishing the exterior. When God moves, He tears down and rebuilds. He uproots old loves, demolishes false securities, and replaces them with a foundation that cannot be shaken. This work is often invisible at first. From the outside, life may look the same for a while. You may still walk the same streets, live in the same house, wear the same clothes, but inside, a revolution is underway. The heart that once clung to pride begins to bend toward humility. The heart that once found pleasure in sin starts to ache for righteousness. The heart that once craved recognition and approval from others now seeks the quiet approval of God alone. And it is not forced. It is not performed out of obligation. It rises naturally, like a spring of living water that cannot be contained. This is the miracle of effectual calling. It is not simply that you are invited. It is that you are drawn, not against your will, but with a will newly made alive to the beauty of Christ. You see Him differently now. You no longer view Him as a distant figure or a harsh judge. You see Him as the treasure worth losing everything else to gain. And the things you once thought would satisfy now seem empty by comparison. The world may still pull at you. Old temptations may still whisper. But there is a new anchor within you, a deeper loyalty that keeps you tethered to grace even when the winds howl and the storms rage. You find strength to resist, not because you are stronger, but because He who began a good work in you is faithful to complete it. And so you press on. You fall, but you rise again. You stumble, but you are held. You are no longer defined by your failures or your successes, but by the unchanging love of the one who called you. His grip on you is stronger than your grip on Him. His faithfulness steadies you when your own faith feels fragile. This is the life of a heart truly changed. Not a life of perfection, but of perseverance. Not a life free from struggle, but a life filled with hope. Hope that is anchored not in your ability, but in His promises. Hope that burns brighter with every step, because it is fueled not by human effort, but by divine power. Stay close, because in the next part, we will see how this heart change not only transforms your present, but secures your eternal future. The work God begins in the heart is a work He promises to complete. He does not start a process and then abandon it halfway. He does not breathe new life into a soul only to leave it gasping for breath. His power is not momentary, it is enduring. His commitment to you is not fragile, it is fierce. When He changes your heart, He claims you fully and forever. This is why the Christian life is not about holding on to God with all your might, fearing that you might slip away. It is about realizing that God is holding on to you, and His grip does not fail. Your security is not in the strength of your faith, but in the strength of the one you have placed your faith in. He who calls you is faithful, and He will do it. As you walk this journey of heart transformation, you will notice that the battles are not over. Temptations still come, doubts still whisper, weariness still presses in, but now there is a difference. You are no longer fighting alone. You are no longer striving from a place of emptiness. The Spirit of God Himself dwells within you, strengthening you, guiding you, reminding you who you are and whose you are. Your desires are different now. Even when you stumble, your heart grieves what it once celebrated. Even when you fall, there is a longing to return to the one you love. Repentance is no longer a duty. It is a longing for restored closeness. Holiness is no longer a burden. It is a hunger for more of Him. This ongoing work is not about becoming worthy of His love. You already are loved perfectly, unchangeably, because of Christ. This work is about shaping your life to reflect the reality of that love, so that every part of you bears witness to the miracle that has taken place within. And as you grow, you will find that the things of this world lose their shine. The applause, the possessions, the temporary thrills, they will all seem small compared to the surpassing worth of knowing Him. Your heart will be drawn more and more toward what is eternal, what is pure, what is true. This is the fruit of a heart changed by God. Not a life free from struggle, but a life filled with a deeper, unshakable joy. A life anchored not to circumstances, but to Christ Himself. Stay with me, because in the next part, we will step even deeper into what it means to live out this new heart, and how it changes not just what you do, but who you are becoming. Living with a heart changed by God is not a life of instant perfection. It is a life of steady transformation. It is a journey, not a destination. Every day, the new heart He has given you grows stronger. Every day, the roots of your faith reach deeper into the soil of His love. And though progress is not always visible to the human eye, something unshakable is being built within you. True heart change alters not only your desires but your very identity. You are no longer defined by your failures, your past, or your weaknesses. You are defined by His victory, His righteousness, and His unfailing love. When you stumble, and you will, you no longer collapse into despair. You lift your eyes to the cross and remember that your standing with God has never depended on your performance but always on His finished work. You begin to live differently, not because you are trying harder to earn something, but because you are living out what has already been given to you. Grace becomes not just the foundation but the atmosphere you breathe. Mercy becomes not just a hope but a daily reality. Holiness becomes not a duty but a delight. The heart touched by God cannot be content with shallow living. It hungers for depth. It thirsts for righteousness. It aches for intimacy with the one who gave everything to make you His. Worship is no longer confined to a church building. It becomes the posture of your soul. Prayer is no longer a ritual. It becomes the natural conversation of a heart that knows it is loved. This transformation changes how you see everything. You begin to view people not through the lens of what they can offer you, but through the eyes of Christ. Compassion grows where once there was judgment. Forgiveness flows where once there was bitterness. Generosity rises where once there was greed, not because you have reprogrammed yourself, but because the Spirit of God is alive within you, making you new from the inside out. And as you grow, you realize that your heart is being shaped for eternity. Every act of surrender, every moment of trust, every choice to love when it would be easier to walk away is preparing you for the day when faith will become sight. When the one who called your name, who changed your heart, will welcome you home. Stay close, because in the next part, we will look at why God's heart-changing work is not just for you, but for His glory, and how your life becomes a living testimony to His unstoppable grace. When God changes your heart, it is never only about you. His work in you is designed to point others to Him. Your transformation becomes a living testimony of His grace, a visible declaration that what is impossible with man is possible with God. People who knew you before will notice. They will wonder at the peace that holds you steady when life crumbles. They will be drawn to the quiet joy that refuses to be extinguished by circumstances. And whether they realize it or not, they will encounter Christ through the evidence of your changed life. This is how God displays His glory, through ordinary people whose hearts have been made extraordinary by His touch, through once broken lives now filled with purpose, through once proud souls now walking in humility, through once fearful spirits now anchored in a fearless hope. You are not simply a recipient of grace, you are a reflection of it. The kindness you extend, the patience you show, the forgiveness you offer, all these become windows through which the world glimpses the heart of the Father. And the more your heart is shaped by His, the more you long for others to experience the same miracle. You no longer see evangelism as an obligation but as a joyful overflow. You want others to taste the freedom you have found, to see the beauty you now behold, to hear the voice that called you out of darkness into marvelous light. Your heart beats in rhythm with the mission of God. His love compels you, His mercy moves you, His Spirit empowers you. And you realize that your story, the one filled with failures and fears, regrets and redemption, is the very story God delights to use, not despite your brokenness but because of it. Your life becomes proof that no one is too far gone, that no heart is too hard, that no soul is beyond the reach of His transforming power. This is the legacy of a changed heart. It doesn't end with you. It multiplies. It radiates outward, touching lives, planting seeds, shining light into the deepest shadows. And one day, when you stand before Him, you will see what your yes unleashed. You will see the ripple effects of your surrender. You will see that the small, often unseen acts of faith and love became part of a story far greater than you ever imagined. Stay close, because in the next part, we will see why the heart God changes, He also keeps, and why your hope is not in your ability to hold on, but in His promise to never let go. The heart that God changes, He also keeps. His work is not a temporary fix or a fleeting emotional experience. It is a permanent transformation rooted in His unchanging faithfulness. When God claims a heart, He does not release it back into the chaos to fend for itself. He holds it. He preserves it. He finishes what He started. This is why true believers persevere, not because they are strong, but because He is. Not because they never doubt or stumble, but because His grip is stronger than their weakness. The assurance of salvation is not grounded in our ability to stay close to God, but in His relentless commitment to stay close to us. You were never meant to carry the weight of your own sanctification. You were never expected to manufacture enough faith to keep yourself afloat. The same grace that called you out of darkness is the grace that carries you every step of the way. The same power that changed your heart is the power that holds your heart steady. And yes, there will be moments when you feel distant, moments when the old fears creep back in, moments when the world's voices seem louder than His. But underneath every fear, every doubt, every faltering step, His faithfulness remains. He does not let go. He does not change His mind. He does not regret calling your name. Even when you are faithless, He remains faithful, for He cannot deny Himself. This reality becomes your anchor. It silences the condemning whispers that say you are too weak, too broken, too inconsistent. It lifts your eyes from your failures and fixes them on His finished work. It teaches you to rest, not in how tightly you can hold on, but in how surely He holds you. And as you walk with Him, your confidence grows, not in yourself, but in Him. You begin to trust that His promises are stronger than your doubts. You begin to believe that His love is deeper than your sin. You begin to live not in fear of falling, but in joy at being forever caught in His grace. This is the freedom of a heart changed by God, the freedom to fall and rise again, the freedom to struggle and still be secure, the freedom to know that no matter what, you are His and He is yours. Stay close, because in the final part, we will step into the breathtaking promise that the one who changed your heart has prepared a future more glorious than you can imagine. One day, the journey you are walking now will reach its final chapter. The heart that beats with new life today will beat in perfect rhythm with His forever. The struggles will end. The doubts will vanish. The battles will cease. And what will remain is a love perfected, a faith completed, a joy unbroken. God's work in you is not temporary. It is eternal. Every moment of surrender, every act of trust, Every step of obedience is shaping you for the glory that awaits. You are not just being changed for this life, you are being prepared for eternity with Him. And when you finally stand before Him, you will see with clear eyes what your heart only glimpses now, the beauty of the one who called you, who changed you, who kept you. You will see that every moment of struggle was worth it. Every step of surrender was precious. Every yes, whispered in faith, mattered far more than you ever realized. The one who began the good work in you will finish it, not halfway, not almost, perfectly. You will not regret saying yes to His call. You will not regret trusting His hands to shape your heart. You will not regret the days you stumbled and got back up, because grace never let you go. And if today you find yourself still in the middle of the process, still wrestling, still hopping, still aching to become who He has called you to be, take heart. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. The same power that raised Christ from the dead is at work within you, breathing new life, shaping new desires, leading you forward, one step at a time. Don't give up. Don't lose heart. The hands that hold your heart are faithful. If this message has touched something deep inside you, if you feel the Spirit stirring even now, then I invite you, stay connected. Stay close to truth. Surround yourself with reminders that God is not finished writing your story. Subscribe today, not just to another channel, but to the journey of grace you were made for. Turn on the light in a world trying to drown out the voice of God with noise. Because your heart was never meant to stay the same. It was meant to be changed. And the one who began it will see it through. You were called. You are being changed. You will be completed. Stay, grow, and walk this road with us. Because the best is yet to come.